Okay, this is going to be on waste and water. Two things you cannot live without. Okay, this time we're going to talk about waste. The topic of this video was water and waste, and one of the big things switching to a rural life is waste and garbage like this. Big things, you know, you live in the city, you have a garbage collection. You live in an apartment, whatever, they have dumpsters outside. You live in the country, depending on where you live, different methods of collecting waste and garbage. In Wisconsin, where we lived, we had a transfer station. What that meant is we were responsible for taking our garbage twice a week, is when it was available, to the transfer station. And what that was is they just literally had big dumpsters. One was for garbage, like, you know, just garbage. And then the rest were identified for different types of waste. So you had one for cardboard and paper, one for glass bottles and plastic, and kind of split up like that. And then the best part was they had one area there that if it was not useful to you anymore, but it really wasn't garbage, you could set it in this back area. And it was like a garage sale. I mean, there would be bicycles there, tools, I mean, you name it. I got an electric chainsaw. I mean, I picked up hundreds of dollars worth of stuff from there. A lot of times it was lightly used, you know, might have been needed a simple repair. I got an air compressor just because the cord was pulled out slightly, and I repaired that. And that was a cool thing. But the cost of that was taken out of our taxes. So we really didn't see it. And it was a flat rate per year. So it was kind of nice because I could literally take anything there. I could take 2 truckloads on a Saturday there, just full of garbage, and just dump it there, which was really nice. Where we are now, totally not the case. It's one of those things I did look into, but it's different, and it is something you want to consider before you move out into the country and start your rural life, because our current garbage system, we have garbage pickup at the paved road. I'm on a gravel road, so I have to drive it down quite a ways to the paved road, and they do pick it up. But you have to use the county bags, and only the county bags, for garbage at $3 a bag, as the time I posted this. And the bags are not very big, and they're not very strong. So you end up still having to buy garbage bags to put inside of them, because otherwise, you know, you put anything in there, it'll just tear right through these things. And then they don't have a cinch top or a tie top on them, so you lose a good 6 inches to a foot tying the top of them up. So, you know, your tiny bag has gotten even smaller. And then the good thing is, recyclables, they give you free bags because they want you to recycle. So cans, bottles, glass, cardboard, things like that, you can take to the recycling center. The negative, though, is the county is pretty much like that. I went to the bigger town and I got a slice of pizza at the gas station, needed gas. And then on the way home, ate the pizza, had some garbage, you know, from the pizza wrapper, stopped in my county to get gas. I was like, oh, I'll just throw it away in the garbage can at the gas station. Gas station doesn't even have garbage cans. They have recyclable cans only for plastic bottles and cans, and that's it. Any other garbage you got to pack out. So pretty much countywide in this area, there's really no garbages. And you go to the recreational areas, no garbages. Unfortunately, people are lazy and follow the path of least resistance, so there is a lot of garbage on the side of the roads out here, unfortunately. It really sucks. One of the things back in Wisconsin, yeah, we paid higher taxes on the garbage, but you could throw literally anything away, and it was included, and there's no way out of it, so people just had to pay it. Here, $3 bag, you don't have to pay for it. Throw it on the road or throw it, you know, so you do start to notice that. Unfortunate thing, because it's such a beautiful area out here, and it's interesting too, because yeah, it's just interesting. It's an observation, but and I'm not sure. Maybe people leave some comments. Other areas Montana. I didn't get as far into researching the waste removal there. I'm not sure how it goes with bigger items. Back in Wisconsin at the transfer station, you could take appliances. You could take, they had a special day for batteries, car batteries, things like that. You could take old appliance, any kind of electronic appliance, washers, dryers, refrigerators. You could dump them off there. They had a separate spot for that. Here, I have no idea. The recycling center, considering that the property we just bought has an old washing machine, or not a washing machine, a refrigerator and some other stuff just randomly thrown out in the woods, I'm assuming they don't take it out here. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm gonna have to absorb the cost of a dumpster, get it over here and start cleaning up, because there's a lot of stuff I'm starting to find in the woods. It's just one of those unfortunate things. You move to the country and you want fresh air, clean nature, and unfortunately, it's not always the case. There's a lot of garbage, unfortunately. So, but on the good side, nothing's stopping me from picking it up. It's going to cost me a little bit, but if that's what it takes to clean up, the area a bit, I will do that. When I go off-roading, I carry a trash bag. When I go hiking, I carry a trash bag and I pick up other people's garbage when I see it. It's a little goes a lot when it comes to garbage pickup, but it's one of those things you need to look into before you move to an area. Not a fun topic, water, waste, septic, things like that. It's one of those things though, but you do need to research before you move to an area. And like I said, we did research a bit on this. I knew that we'd have to use the county bags. I don't know why in my head I'm thinking, 50 cents, 75 cents a bag, was not expecting $3 a bag and was not, sorry, losing my voice. We always bought the contractor, the big hefty garbage bags that you can put a lot of stuff in. I was expecting those, not tiny little shopping bags, more or less. But, it does make you more aware of what you're throwing away. You're not going to throw away recyclables. You're not going to, you're going to sort through them. And they are pretty specific. In Wisconsin, they just said recyclables in this container. That's it. Whatever. You can have the lid on, whatever. They could be dirty. Just throw them in there. Here in our area, they specifically want everything rinsed out. And then if you have rural water, you're paying for the the rinsing out too. So you can kind of see how, some people might just not want to do all that. And garbage ends up not where it should be. But unfortunately, it's a fact of life. Not just in this area. It's pretty much everywhere. Even in Wisconsin, you could throw away anything. You'd go to the sides of the roads and there'd be garbage there. Lots of garbage too. It's pretty much universally everywhere. People are lazy and just throw garbage away. You can do your part individually on keeping areas clean. Like I said, I always keep a trash bag in the truck, ready to pick up garbage. I love nature the way nature should be. Hopefully this is helpful. Water. It's one of the things that when you live in the city or the burbs, you really don't think of water. It's just there. Same thing with your plumbing and septic. You just don't worry about it. When looking at rural properties, you need to figure out what you're going to do for water. The common thing, at least when I was in Wisconsin, was if you were out of the city, you would have a well. That was pretty common. Moving to Arkansas, they have what is called rural water. And what that is, there's wells owned by the water company, and each well services multiple people. Sometimes it's not a well, sometimes it's a lake or a pond off of a river, and they just collect that water and pump it into people's houses. So it's one of those things, it's interesting, because in our case, we have a well, we have rural water, and we have a creek on the property. So you need to determine that, because one of the most important things if you want to homestead or just live in general is water. You need water on your property. And multiple sources of water is obviously ideal, but on the same note, if you have to add this to your property afterwards, a well can be pretty expensive. The well that's on our property is about 200, 300 feet down that way. So we're on, the house is right over there, and we're on top of a mountain, literally. And then the creek is over, well, there's actually two creeks. It's one that way and one that way, about 200 or 300 feet down. So we chose, the prepared mindset in me wanted more than one water source. As many as possible is the best case. And as stated in one of the other progress videos and some of the projects we're going to be doing rain catchment systems. because any additional ways to have water is ideal. Because I mean, we're gonna have animals, we're gonna do gardening, we're gonna be using a lot of water. And I'm not sure what, I've had a well, you just paid the electricity on it. You could actually put on solar and it really is no cost. I know in Arkansas, the rural water is about $50 for every 1,000 gallons, give or take. So I mean, it's one of those things, if you take you know, an hour-long shower and you water your grass every day, I mean, you might want to consider these things before you move. When we looked in Montana, a lot of the properties had zero water, and you had cisterns, and you had to have water trucked in, and you would have to buy your water every week or every month, and that is not sustainable. It was one of the big drawbacks why we did not go to Montana, besides the price, obviously, but water is one of the main things. As stated in the part 1, the other element of water is floodplain. You don't want floodplain. That's like, you know, near the house. And this property, there is some floodplain 200 feet, 300 feet down where the well is and where the creek is. So it's not a big deal. Nowhere near the house. So you kind of got to weigh the pros and cons of the floodplain, if you have one on your property, and water sources. Because you can't live without water, and you don't want to have to pay for water or truck it in. One of our neighbors we just met, he does not have a well, does not have rural water set up, and he brings in those big totes that were like the root beer totes, and he brings in water, and he has to truck it in. So I talked to him and said, you know, as long as he doesn't abuse it, he can come over here and fill up, you know, and have some water until he gets his water situation taken care of. Because, you know, that's what a good neighbor does. But at the same time, it's one of those things you need to figure that out sooner than later, because you don't want to be at a place without water. And everything in homesteading involves water. Like I said, you want to have animals, gardens. I don't really care about the grass that much. I mean, my lawn is 90% rock and some 10% grass. But yeah, but really look at that when you look at rural properties. We looked at some properties that had a spring house. They had a natural spring on the property, and they would pump it to the house. And you need to look at these things, because some of these houses, they just have an electric 12-volt pump that you run water to your house, and you may not have enough water to do the laundry, the dish, you know, just different things. You need to figure that out. You have to get that water to the house also. So it's coming from city life to the rural life can be a big eye-opener in the way things are with water. Because like I said, it's one of those things, when you live in the city, you live in the burbs, you just don't even think about it. It's when you buy your house, it's plumbed in, you don't worry about it. Not guaranteed when you move in a rural area, so remember that. And keeping this one really short. Hopefully that's helpful. Like I said, I'm gonna break these up in little short segments, and not in any particular order, but just elements that are very important when trying to decide when you're going to buy rural property, so you don't get surprised in the end and expensive surprises. Because the cost of digging a well is not cheap. The cost of, you know, trucking in water is not cheap. So you want to make sure that the property you're looking at has water. And then when you get that water, the quality of the water. That's another important thing. In Wisconsin, we had really hard water with really high amounts of iron in it. You could pour a glass of water from the spigot and then let it sit, and 10 minutes later your water is yellow or orange. It was so bad. In our previous property, we had an iron filter and a water softener, and eventually the toilet and the shower would still slightly turn a little bit of orange color. Where we're at right now, we have really good water. It's a little hard, but there's no rust, nothing like that. It's harder, the harder the water, the harder it is to lather up soap and do, you know, laundry and things like that. So it is a little different, but it's very good tasting water, and I've tested the water, and it's very good water. So that's one thing you will enjoy when moving to the country, ideally if you have good water. But please have it tested. You can buy testing kits yourself. I mean, there's certain areas where there's lead in the water, there's sulfur in the water, there's all sorts of things. So it's probably not a bad idea when you go look at some properties to test the water. Maybe take a sample with you, or just even turn it on and smell it. The sulfur in the water you could really smell. In Wisconsin, it was a very common thing. You look at stains in the toilet, you know, orange stains, things like that. Very important things when looking at property, because it's a lot of times people just live with it or don't care. But just to give you an idea, an iron filter is about $1,500 to $2,500. Water softener, a couple hundred to $1,000, depending on the type you get. And then you may want a reverse osmosis filter to filter even more. Our current water, I tested it, it's good to go as is. And then I did add a carbon filter, just in case. And just to filter out any, maybe there's some dead bugs in the water line, or just something, or some silt, just as a precaution. But the carbon filter doesn't do much, but it still filters out some things. So, because yeah, I've looked in some wellheads before, and some of the earwigs and bugs in there, it's kind of it is what it is. But I think we're gonna get some rain coming down on me soon. And as you notice, I'm not swatting bugs. The bugs are getting better. The only bugs that are really driving me absolutely nuts right now are these little gnats. They just fly around my face, they buzz, they don't do anything, they don't bite, but they just right in front of my eyes and right in front of my mouth, like I'm gonna inhale them. Luckily right now there's none of those, but yeah, so I'm gonna quit talking about bugs. I'm enjoying the bug-free day, but very important, like I said, just look into the quality of the water, what type of water you're getting in your property. If you're just buying raw land, keep in mind the cost of a well or how you're gonna do water. The last thing you wanna do is truck in water. It's not sustainable, and the way things are going, either the cost is gonna go up regardless, or there's gonna be shortages. So keep that in mind too. I mean, it is what it is, the way things are going right now. So hopefully this was helpful, and then hopefully we'll be doing a couple more of these short, starting a new life in rural America, little segments of things to help you out and find the perfect property for you, wherever it may be. And it's interesting too, like I said, we fled Wisconsin, and the area we fled, there's many people that would love to have a homestead in that area. So I mean, it's what we think is ideal. It may not be ideal for you, and what you're looking for may not be, what we consider ideal. But water and all these elements that we put into finding a property should help you. And just to give a quick idea on how we came up with all these different elements, my wife and I were, she's a project manager in IT, and I was a project manager for projects at a manufacturing company. And we both dealt with buying a property in the same way. I mean, it was spreadsheets, different, I mean, we did a lot of data analysis and in a quick amount of time. But it was as a project goes, it was a quick project, but we had been, looking for a long time, dreaming wise. So we kind of had a lot of this in place. But when it was all said and done, the studying did help. It's like when you buy a car. You buy a used car, you need to have a mechanic look at it, or at least look at it yourself. And that's kind of the same thing when you're buying a property. You have to look at it that same way. You're buying a used car. So kind of think about it that way. Think about, do you just buy a used car without, test driving it? And then you can still buy a used car, have a mechanic look at it, everything, and then something could still go wrong. And same thing with the house. You could have an inspection. You could have the well tested, everything. Something could still go wrong. So you need to have contingencies in place. And I think that one was a walnut. I don't know if you can hear that one. There's nuts falling down all around me. No Bigfoot yet. I've put some game cameras, but that'll be my retirement, hopefully, when I get him or her on camera. That'll be if you just kind of see me disappear, that could be the reason, So, but yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Cutting it off right there. Look into the water and what type of water your property has, and keep that in mind when searching. Good luck. Like I said, I hope everybody that dreams of moving to the country and a rural life can do it. It's my only regret, and I joke about this one, is that I don't have a cool Bronco or some cool Jeep to go off-roading in this area that I'm at, but it's kind of a nice only regret to have. So, because other than that, been blessed. Everything's going well. So, thanks again, and I'm gonna go eat dinner. Okay, bye.